Hello everyone and welcome, it's Jackie. Today's video is going to be a little bit different and I am going to chat a bit, so if you just want to see, you'll need to skip forward a little while. I'm going to share the first 3 junk journals I ever made. I have shared these before, but they're way down my timeline now, and I know I've got a lot of new people over the last couple of years who probably wouldn't find those. I'm not sure I could find them myself now, but maybe not. These are what I would call real junk journals. They're not the journals that I make now that people very kindly buy, but I love them and they're used, so you can also see how I would use a junk journal, and still do use a junk journal, though not as much as I used to. So I took a class by Mary Ann Moss called Remains of the Day in 2010, which is when I made this first one. I don't think the class is available anymore, but if you type in Remains of the Day, you'll see hundreds of these. It was a fabulous class. I loved it, and I've loved making journals, books ever since, and I haven't stopped at just this type of junk journal. I've put together books, this type of thing with hard covers. Somewhere I've got some Coptic stitched journals. I'll see if I can find them. Yeah, found them. These are little bound stitched journals with hard covers. They wobble a bit, but that's the nature of the stitching. You can see they're open spined. I've got a couple of those unused, and all sorts really, but it's a junk journal I love. It's the basic putting together of it. So sorry, I am rabbiting on a bit now. These aren't fancy in the way that I dress my journals up these days, although my own tend to be quite plain. This is cloth over card, and then it's just stitched. Stitching is part of what I do with my journals. I love stitching. So let's just have a quick flick through this so that you can see. I'm sharing some quite personal stuff, so hopefully that'll work out for me. But these journals were made with junk. At the time, I didn't know about vintage journals. I didn't know about vintage papers. I literally used wrapping paper. I think this was a paper bag. You can see I started it in 2010. Scrapbook paper. I used actual brochures, places we'd been as pages. It's a tuck spot there, which probably never tucked anything in, but there you go. Yeah, so this is another, excuse me, page from the brochure that we found at Haworth, and some very old scrapbook paper. 2010, you couldn't in the UK buy the range of mixed media papers, scrapbook papers that you can now. So this is some plastic. This, I think, was wrapping paper. So I've done, you know, little flips and pockets. What's this paper? Can't even tell. Might just be some newspaper. This is not Molly, this is the dog we had before Molly. She was called Jolie. She was lovely. Envelopes. This is a birthday card or a leaving card from a job, I suspect. I don't want to linger too long because this is goodness knows where I got that from. This was a brochure. We went to Harrods and had tea at Harrods. Not Harrods, the Ritz, sorry. And when I put things in these are places we've been to, pictures I've taken. I sometimes repeat myself. You know, I'll put a photograph in this journal at the beginning here, and then I'll look through another one and I've redone it. None of that bothers me. These are memories, bits of art. I've always dabbled in mixed media art, so I've got papers from stuff that I've done. This was, that does look like an old bag that I got from somewhere. So maybe I was into vintage a little bit. I just didn't know it at the time. Theatre trip, paper bag, page, tickets, random photographs. Sometimes like this, I'll put an envelope in and there's some extra photographs in there. My mum's wedding, so you can see there's no chronological order to any of these. They're just random memories as I find a photograph or a brochure or even a picture I like, really. Sorry, umming. I will just put it in. So this is how I junk journal. This actually has got a lot of pockets in. I'd forgotten it's got so many pockets in. So I like pockets now. These were all, this had got 3 signatures in. And obviously when I filled it, I realised that that was on a sort of inch spine. That was quite tight, really. So that was Mary Ann Moss's class. But I carried on after that. I think this was the second one I made. This is some fabric that I dyed. I probably wouldn't make a journal cover quite like this now. This is also a little embroidery, machine embroidery that I did. And again, I've cut it down to 2 signatures. Still quite tight, but it works. And this is exactly the same, really. I didn't really understand about the folds and things like that. So we've got cracking here. But again, this is just a mishmash of, this is just a magazine cutout. I think this was some dyed paper that I'd done, probably on a course or in my back garden, maybe. Poems, I often put poems in, and bits that I've copied out of books, quotes. Cards I quite like using. I don't keep all the cards that I've been given, but I do special ones, and I often use those in the middle of a signature so that you can see what's been written on them. You can see we've got Haworth again here in this book, which is also in the other one. Still using these random scrap papers. These are also pictures out of National Geographic. I used those quite a lot in those days. I don't have any of those at the moment. This is, you know, an envelope, business envelope that's come through the post. Doodle I'd done. This is a little ATC that I particularly liked. This I haven't written on. Normally I would write something over that, but I've obviously never finished this completely. But I probably thought there was enough in there, to be honest. What are these? Christmas tags that I wanted to keep. And I was obviously trying, looking at this now, I think I was trying to tidy up the back of this, and I've just stuck this paper over, which works fine. So that was the second one. And then I did another, I got this piece of fabric, which I dyed and stitched, and I turned it into a soft cover. which I found worked really well. So what I thought was that we would go back to basics and together make something along these lines. I am going to use stitching though, so or maybe I'll have a go at 2. 1 stitched. I always like to stitch, as if you follow me you'll know that I like to stitch in my journals. So we'll make a journal, a fairly basic, proper junk journal together. Again, I've got quite a lot of spaces in here that I could still write in, but I also quite like the, you know, just the randomness of these photographs and the way the pages look together. Messy, you could say, but interesting as well. Well, I think they are. So this I obviously put in because I loved that image. I'm not sure how many pockets we'll put in, and whether we'll make it 2 signatures or 1, but I will take you back to my basics and we'll see how we get on. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you shortly.